first I want to say that we do meet monthly with, we have just been joined by Eric Rivera from the State Senator Jose Serrano's office. Thank you for joining us. We do meet monthly. When I say we, myself, Diane Levitt, Ursula Fokine, Jen Allen, along with 4 parents, Fiona Taylor, Olga Shishinov, Aaron Oliveson, and Will Sweeney. And I do thank this entire team because when we have our meetings, we really are thinking about what are the needs of this school, what are the needs of our students, what are the needs of our parent community, and of course our teachers. And it is stuff that we are really happy to see that things are happening right now. So right now I just want to introduce Diane Levitt, who is Cornell Tech Senior Director of Education.
Thank you. It's great to be here. We're really excited to get to this night. We've been planning it for, it feels like a while. So I'm going to kind of take you through a little tour of our work together, a little bit about computational thinking and computational doing, and hopefully get you upstairs and on computers as fast as I can. In my role as Senior Director of K-12 Education at Cornell Tech, I bridge the campus to the New York City Department of Education, and I work closely with a handful of schools, most notably PSIS 217. Our work at Cornell Tech falls into 5 broad buckets. Our work at PSIS 217 is captured by the first bucket as a catalyst for computing education at the school. The second, helping to build curriculum that prepares teachers and students for the digital age. And the final bucket, engaging Cornell Tech students and faculty in the life of the school. We've established a conference, which we call To Code and Beyond, that brings together educators, policymakers, nonprofit leaders, and funders from across the city. We've held 3 To Code and Beyond events. The first 2 were conferences where speakers addressed major topics in K-12 computer science education. The third was a workshop on e-textiles, attended from teachers from 25 different schools across the city, and led by Dr. Kylie Pepler, Associate Professor at Indiana University and Director of IU's Creativity Lab. To learn more about getting students workplace ready in the digital age, we hosted the boot camp for Generation Tech, a summer technology and entrepreneurship program from the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship and the New York City EDC. 50 students from low-income schools spent 2 weeks on our campus this summer, learning to collaborate, to code, and to write and pitch business plans. We were very impressed by the energy and the enthusiasm of these students and the very high quality and standards of the program leaders. We learned that given the right tools, students can achieve surprising things. Before I move on to our work with PSIS 217, I want to talk briefly about the why and the what of computer science in elementary and middle school. Although you hear a lot about coding in school, there's a lot more to getting students ready for the digital age than teaching them to write code. The question isn't really, should all kids learn to code? It's more, what should they learn to code for? Computational thinking is how we describe the mindset we believe students need for the digital age. It begins by understanding what the tools of computing can do. We don't necessarily need a computer to solve the problem of how to get your students to clean up their room, for instance. Or maybe we do. Can we state that problem so that we can use the tools of computing to solve it? In this case, we might decide to use a digital image of the floor of their room and a program that senses when there are more than 3 things, say, on the floor. And maybe we set it up to generate a reminder for them or for you, a text message or a sound to tell them to clean their room. We can use the framework of computational thinking to build habits and skills in students that don't use the computer. For instance, logically organizing data often includes sorting. We sort with our young children all the time. Going back to this room cleaning analogy, to build computational thinking as a parent into this task, you might ask them to take the job apart and sort it more explicitly, having them pick up things by color, in this case, pick up all the pink things in your room, or by material or by shape. Another example is that of teaching students to think about tasks as a series of ordered steps, what we call algorithmic thinking. We can easily do this in a classroom by asking students to create a storyboard of a familiar fairy tale, like this one, The Three Little Pigs. Taking the story apart into a series of steps. It's really fun to build this habit by asking your student to describe a common activity, let's say, like cleaning your room, as a series of steps. You quickly find out that the assumptions we make when we talk are assumptions the computer doesn't understand. Put your clothes away needs to be separated into steps. Bend over, pick the shirt up from the floor, turn in the direction of the hamper, walk 4 steps, open the top of the hamper, hold it open, drop the shirt into the hamper. If there are multiple shirts on the ground, we create a loop that would tell the program to repeat the process for all the shirts. I think you probably get the feeling. Here's what that same kind of exercise looks like for a student who's done a paper and pencil version of a program that she's getting ready to code. This is how we transition students from what we call unplugged activities, things we do in the actual world, to activities that involve the computer. Currently, there are many pathways to digital building for older elementary and middle school students, and the field of K-8 computer science education is still quite young. We're still learning what's most effective for teaching computing to younger students, but we'll be exploring all of these over time here at PSIS 217. You often hear people talk about the soft skills they look for in the tech workforce. These are attitudes that will serve our students regardless of what they study or what profession they serve. We're building them into our lesson planning so they become a natural part of computing for students. I can't overstate how important understanding technology will be for your students. Every job today involves some kind of software development. Farmers use programs that analyze data to determine when to plant and rotate crops. And computers run their tractors. Transportation involves computing in so many ways. Historic travel data tells airlines when to schedule flights. Websites manage your train, bus, and plane reservations. The New York City Department of Education will use an algorithm to choose the middle and high schools for your students. So we know that regardless of what your student eventually does for a living, understanding technology will make her more employable and make him more successful. Beyond the workplace, though, we live in a digital world. At Cornell Tech, we firmly believe that all students need to understand that digital world to thrive in it as creators. When I was in middle school, I played the viola, and I played the viola very badly. When I think back on that time, I actually feel really sorry for my music teachers. But no one said, "You're not going to Juilliard, so we're not going to teach you the viola." Instead, they said, "The world is full of music. And if you understand how music is made, your experience in the world is forever changed." And so it is with computing. We want your students to have what we call digital agency. Webster's dictionary defines agency as the capacity to exert power. Think about it. The capacity to exert power. That's exactly what we want students to feel with their digital tools. That these tools give them the ability to build things that solve the problems that they want to solve. We're very excited about our partnership with PSIS 217. Our steering committee, which you've heard from Mrs. Beckman, is made up of representatives from the PTA, the school, and representatives from our elected officials. Meets monthly to plan our engagement and check in on progress. Cornell Tech will be an active, visible presence at PSIS 217. Working together, we're building a program that will truly prepare students to be citizens and creators in the digital age. To date, we've connected the school to a variety of tech teacher training opportunities. The middle school math teacher attended a 3-day workshop for Bootstrap, a game design platform that teaches algebra and computational thinking. She also participated in this summer's Games for Change Student Challenge teacher training, which uses the Global Laureate game design platform. We brought in a consultant to work with middle school teachers to develop an interdisciplinary project-based learning curriculum titled Can Roosevelt Island Be Energy Independent? And students will be working on this project later in the year. We're using our new environmentally sensitive campus construction project as a laboratory. We've introduced the game design platform Codesters to the Beacon after-school program. Codesters is the only platform that teaches elementary school students to write code in Python, a web development language. You may have heard about our Hack Roosevelt Island Tech event last spring. 35 graduate students worked with 80 5th, 6th, and 7th graders to build projects that demonstrated concepts related to water conservation and recycling. Using data we provided, they designed and demonstrated computer games using that Codesters platform. As you can see, everyone was very engaged and had a great time. This summer, we piloted a summer camp designed to teach computer science in the context of science, developed with the American Museum of Natural History. The 2-week course taught students to collect data on birds in Central Park and on Roosevelt Island and analyze it and report it using code that they wrote using Python. The students met with an ornithologist at the museum who took them on a behind-the-scenes tour and on a bird-watching walk through Central Park. And as you can see this summer, our students had a surprise visit from a technologist, our own city council member, Ben Kalos, who taught our students a bit about writing and debugging code. Now we're going to see if I actually have the technology chops that I think I have. Let's see. Yes, look at that. Okay. We held our second coding event, Let's Code Roosevelt Island, on October 30th. 70 of our students volunteered to mentor PSIS 217 students in a project created with the Museum of the Moving Image. That's actually the project you're going to do upstairs tonight. We used Scratch, the block coding language developed at MIT, to create some spooky online images. And here's an example of a Scratch Halloween project coded entirely by students. And I could actually make this work, but I'm a little afraid of the technology, so I think I'll keep going. As it turns out, Halloween coding events are very photogenic. So I'm going to show you a bunch of pictures because we just did this like 6 weeks ago, and it was to code with kids in costume is really pretty fun. As you can see, many characters of various beautiful images. And the lower left, that's our team of student leaders who organized this event. And I think the photograph at the lower right pretty much sums it up. We're very excited to be created and rolling out a comprehensive computing curriculum for students and teachers this year. Cornell Tech has hired a master computer science teacher to develop the sequence for this curriculum. Her name is Kelly Brandon, and along with her work here, she teaches computer science at Avenues, the independent school in Manhattan. She's actually here tonight, so Kelly, can you stand up? Oh, there she is. So you should feel free. Feel free to ask her later if you have questions about what our teachers did or about what your students should be doing. She's currently giving all the teachers a broad overview of what computer science is and introducing them to some of the main concepts we want every child to know when they leave in the 8th grade, so they can begin to think about these ideas in their lesson planning. Next, she'll be working this year with teachers in grades 4 and up, and build specific lessons to start introducing these concepts. We'll add lessons for 3rd grade next year and pre-K 1 and 2 the year after, so that in 3 years we'll have computing embedded in every class, pre-K through 8. So, and I know it sounds kind of slow, but this is actually, it's a lot for everyone to learn. We're learning as we're doing it, so I think we're smart to sort of take it step by step. I don't think there is any other school in the city right now working on such a comprehensive plan. We will have many other activities at PSIS 217 this year. In addition to the Let's Code event, well, obviously we're going to have our family coding workshop tonight. We've invited Mrs. Beckman to bring some students to our Chelsea campus for a tour of Cornell Tech and of Google. To talk to some of our graduate students about their careers. Some of our students will demonstrate the projects they're working on and talk about their academic and career path. We're planning multiple field trips to our construction site, and I'll also be keeping parents informed about what we're doing in the school on the back of your link newsletter. Finally, I want to tell you about a new initiative announced by the mayor a few months ago, CS for All. Computer Science for All is a 10-year, $80 million public partnership that will introduce computer science into every school. We're very excited to be part of that partnership with the DOE and CSNYC, the nonprofit that's managing the initiative, and we're looking forward to contributing to the city's work with what we're learning here and bringing professional development and curriculum being offered as part of CS for All here to Roosevelt Island. After your questions, we're going to head up to the 4th floor for some family computing, so you can get an idea of what your students can build with code. Now, you all have an agenda? Does everyone have the agenda? Okay, so don't throw it away, because I included some ideas about some online tools that you can use at home to follow up on the fun you had tonight. And in case anyone has not finished their shopping, I also made some suggestions about computing tools that I really like. Okay, so that is my presentation, and I think we've got time for questions. So, how about it? Anybody have any questions?